Alright guys, I'm here with your Fear Factory Genexus review. Now I wanted to wait till I did this review, listen to the album 5 times. And that's because I wanted to give this a fair chance, and I wanted to really listen to a lot of the claims of Fear Factory fans, saying that this is the best album in 20 years from them. Now, one thing I gotta say, a little disclaimer here. Much like Metallica fans, Fear Factory fans are out of their fucking mind. These guys are ridiculous. Here's the thing, just like with Metallica, you want to be the fan of a band that likes to experiment, but you're not a fan of experimenting. Why the fuck are you listening to that band? That makes no godly sense. You should listen to a band if you enjoy their style. Now, if they played a style, but then they change it on the next album, you can't complain because that's what they do. Now, you like that one album, okay, but you can't have that album again. It's just not how it works, because that's not how the band works, and that's not what the band wants to do. And Burton C. Bell has no interest in making an album that sounds exactly like the other. Now, they've always experimented, which is what just blows my mind. It's like the same thing like with Metallica. They've been experimenting since the Black Album, which came out in 1991, 1990, I believe. And they've been experimenting ever since. Now, with Fear Factory, they've been experimenting since Concrete, which they don't even want to consider one of their official releases. So, they start off on Concrete with a pure death metal sound, pretty much, with a few industrial elements. They increased the industrial elements on Soul of a New Machine, and then by demanufacture, those death metal elements were gone, and they got a more industrial sound going. And then ever since then, they've incorporated different types of music into their sound, and, that's how it's been. But we're here to talk about Genexus. Genexus is a great album, without a doubt. If it's the best in 20 years, I don't know about that, because I really like Obsolete. I even like Archetype. I even like Transgression. I even like Mechanized. I even like fucking The Industrialist, to tell you the fucking truth. So anyway, we start off with the Autonomous Combat Systems, the opening track, and this is exactly how you want to open an album. This was like, Mechanize, on Mechanize. Just a nice, hearty track to open up the album. And yeah, I mean, this has a better opener than Archetype did. Transgression also had a really good opener with the 540 million degrees Fahrenheit. Do I have that number right? But anyway, they've always been pretty good at opening tracks, and this is maybe one of their best openers ever, probably since since Shock or Demanufacture. Shock being on the Obsolete album. Yeah, this is a really hearty opening track. It's pretty much, one of the most aggressive songs on the album, probably. Very. I don't believe there's that much in the way of clean vocals. But then you've got Anodize, which begins the clean vocals, and you know what you're in for on this album. And this has some of the best clean singing that Fear Factory has ever done. And I think it's probably the best clean singing they've done since Archetype, to tell you the truth. Burton C. Bell just, really like hits it out of the fucking park. Use that old cliche to do this song. This is like heavy, then it switches to the clean vocals, and I really like what they've done here with this song, and that's like really one of the best songs on the album. Then you have Dielectric, which is one of the preview songs that Fear Factory treated us to. Soul Hacker and Proto Mech, and we've heard these songs all before. And of all these songs, I still gotta go with Soul Hacker on this. I think the chorus is just, it's got a lot of punch to it. And I think they know that too, because since they've been doing Fear Factory videos here on YouTube, at the end of each video, Soul Hacker has been playing, and I kind of feel like, Fear Factory thinks that song went over pretty well too. And I think out of those three songs that were pre-released, that, yeah, I think that's probably the strongest out of the bunch. And I'm a little bit surprised how they put all the pre-release songs together. I thought they would have spread them out a bit more, like, Slipknot did on the Gray chapter. But I guess they wanted to just do that for whatever reason. Genexus is a really good title track, and that's up next. This is like, another heavy song, just like the opening track. This song's got a lot of punch. It takes a break more from the clean vocals and, the lighter side of Fear Factory, and they get back to the heavy riffs. Up next, you got Church of Extinction, which I think is like the weakest song on this album. Not that it's bad, I still really enjoy this track, but it doesn't really have the same fire and passion as the other ones. Not to say, this is the thing. It's great when the worst track on the album is still good. That really says something about the entire album altogether. But I just didn't. This one didn't really resonate with me as much. Then you have Regenerate, and this album right here, really comes into its own when it reaches this track. This is a phenomenal song that reminded me a lot of Resurrection, off of Digimortal, and or no, not Digimortal, actually Obsolete, an even better album. And anything that reminds me of Obsolete is fantastic. And that's not to say that this is the same song as Resurrection. No, this is actually a really fucking good track with an amazing chorus. And this was the type of song that gave me chills. Yes, when you're listening to a song and it gives you chills and it makes the hair stand up on your arm and you get that feeling inside like, this is an excellent track. And that's exactly what happened here for me. This has a poppier vibe to it, but it still feels Fear Factory. And like I said, this is something they've been doing since Obsolete. So to criticize them would just be kind of pointless, but I know there will be people who will do just that. Battle for Utopia, another nice aggressive song. Once again, you notice the theme on this album. Give you a little bit of those clean vocals, jump back to the heaviness. Battle for Utopia, pretty good song. Expiration Date. This is my second favorite song on the album. It reminds me a lot of Final Exit and also Timelessness, where they kind of dial it back on the guitars, dial it back on the riffing, dial it back on the heavy drumming. This song is a lot of effects, but an amazing vocal performance from Burton Seabell. He really just belts out a real number here. This is a real emotional song, and it's like one of those songs that made me a bit teary-eyed. And those songs, and I know anybody who, listens to a lot of music and feels strongly about it has had that feeling, and had that feeling during this song. I think this is a really amazing song. It really just captures a certain mood. It's a song that deals with death, and hence the name. And I was really surprised to hear a song like this. It's even better than Final Exit or Timelessness. Really, there's more substance to it. I don't want to say it's better, but there's more to the song, I guess you could say. And it's definitely moodier than Final Exit. Final Exit still had the heavy riff behind it, but this one just goes for the softer side of Fear Factory, and that's kind of like what they were doing with Timelessness. And just a real great way to wrap up the album. Now you have the special edition. You have two other tracks on there, which I did on Spotify, but I'll just stop right there. This is the version of the album that most people are going to be listening to. Overall, this is an outstanding album. And yes, it is better, I think, than the Industrials. I am going to have to give it a couple more listens to really fairly judge it, see where it really stands. The verdict is still out for me on even where the Gray chapter stands up for Slipknot. When it comes to an album like that, they come out with a good album, and right away you want to say it's the best. You want to say it's one of the top ranking ones because it's new, it's fresh. You've been listening to the same material for years. So when something new comes out and it's good, you're going to just immediately think it's one of the best. But that's not a fair assessment. That's not a fair judgment. So for right now, I'll just say it's a great album. But we'll see in a couple of years where it ranks up against the others after repeated listens. But yeah, this is a definite recommendation from me. Fear Factory fans, try not to get too excited, try not to get too worked up if there's a couple of tracks that you don't enjoy on here, because remember, they're an experimental band. So yeah, there you go. Go listen to this album, go enjoy it.